So, in the grand scheme of things, next block, I'm teaching all audio and for the newbies and for for second through fourth term, on top of orchestrating sports emphasis.
Damn.
Yep. That's how much of a bind Aaron leaving put them in.
Just Aaron leaving.
Yeah. Because I'm the only person that's strictly nights. Everybody else is doubling up. So you got me? Testing.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. So yeah, so I've been on the phone with them off and on all day because not only did I had to, but
all right, now you talk.
Okay. Not only I had to deal with that, but I also am now partially in control of managing the intern hours. What? I'm still live. All right, let's go. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been a fun day. So yeah. What's going on, buddy?
Okay, so just so you said you wanted to talk about the
UC hire is gonna be quick.
we could talk about the UC hire. I found this one story online that I should have been told you about. It's about this high school. Oh, so that's the name of one of the schools. So one school is named
I think I could be yours tonight. Maybe I can be the man that you want. You say the word and I'll be. I wanna believe that you're into me. Follow my lead, I see it all so vividly. What you asking me, how to live handsomely. Oh, I like to get to know you one-on-one. Oh, let me get real close and personal. Don't mind the paper pleasure. Don't want you down forever. I hope you say you'll give me one-on-one. I like to get to know you one-on-one. Oh, let me get real close and personal. Don't mind the paper pleasure. Don't want you down forever. I hope you say you give me one-on-one.
Oh no, they got rectified real quick.
I wanna believe that you're into me. Follow my lead, I see it out so vividly. But you ask me, how will you go answer me? I like to get to know you one-on-one. Oh, let me get you close and personal. Don't mind if we for pleasure. Don't want you down forever. I hope you say you give me one-on-one. I like to get to know you one-on-one. Oh, let me get you close and personal. Don't mind if we for pleasure. Don't want you down forever. I hope you say you give me one-on-one.
Hello,
What's going on?
are we on? Are we
Yeah, we good.
Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. It's Dante Suave, United World of Sports. This is my co-host, Mr. J.
What's going on, everybody? Another good week. A lot of chalk. That's this week's word is chalk for the first time since 2008.
So, our first topic of the day is a story that I read. It's off of Atlanta Black Star News, and it's surfacing around some New York suburban basketball teams. Apparently, they had a crosstown rivalry that some parents were wanting to have stopped because every time the players go and play each other, there are a lot of racial slurs and racial taunts thrown out. And it's gotten to the point to where one player was even suspended because a taunt was thrown at her. And the parents are like, okay, enough is enough. Let's just shut down this rivalry and make it where the schools don't play each other, which the school district said, no, y'all are going to continue it. And
When is there a limit? I mean, realistically now, in this day and age, it's like the best way I can put it is that you have an option most of the time when people want to be oversensitive about things versus realistic about things. If there's slurs going towards kids in the middle of a game, any way, shape, or form, they're kids. If you are an adult and you feel like that's the best way to get your point across is to say something racial or something going against their ethnicity, their sexuality, whatever else you want to feel like to a kid, you really need to check your priorities. Kids is going we've grown up in eras where kids would go back and forth with that aspect of it. But in the sporting thing, there needs to be some type of tact and respect. So so that right there is one of the things where, like, when me and you were joking about, could Boondocks be out now?
Right.
Or could anything else in that ilk be out? Or like the comedy that was out from Bernie Mac and Cedric the Entertainer now from back then, could that be out now with the sensitivity that's there? You try to say that we sit there and we've been shown that type of comedy or that type of satire can't be out right now, but then we still condone stuff like this. Or and in this case, that school board is condoning something like this to where it's not even in a comedic setting, it's in a sporting setting.
Well, from what I was further reading, her angle is that, as I'm saying, it says to address equity, Ogrusa outlined measures to ensure that competitions are safe for all participants and that the code of conduct is equally enforced for all students. She expressed confidence that through intentional dialogue and education, student athletes will engage in competitive sports that do not include hate and harm. Here's my problem with that. Here's my problem with that. While I applaud where she's trying to go with it, here's the problem. They've been trying to address that. They would try to address it through laws. They've tried to address it through public service announcements. They've tried to address it through TV shows. They've tried to address it through movies. And here we are in 2025.
Ain't nothing changed.
And unless you directly deal with it, the people, you can always tell who don't directly deal with it because their response to it is either just stick to sports or how is that still a thing right now? Because
they've been under a rock.
they well, kind of, sort of, but no. And the reason why I say kind of, sort of, but no, they may not be expressing it as freely as they would like because they know that there's some level of you got to be careful, but at the same time, it's out there enough to where, because there were older players that talked about that happening to them, and how they had to take the high road. So in other words, this ain't a new thing. It is an old thing, but it's an old thing that's continued. There's a saying, there's nothing new up under the sun. If you don't directly deal, just because you don't directly deal with it, does not mean that it does not happen.
No. And it's getting to a point now to where they have to understand something. You keep on playing this game and you keep on middling in this, oh, we're going to try to educate and we'll get past it. Are you educating the parents? Are you educating the parents? Because most of these things, when you start dealing with kids, it's because that the behaviors are learned from them at home. So are you bringing in the parents? That's something to where if I'm the dean, if I'm the superintendent of the schools, I'm going to the school and I'm calling a meeting for the parents to come down. And I'm just going to tell you flat out, you do this, you get pointed out that you're doing this, your team doesn't, your child, your son, your daughter doesn't play any sports in this district anymore. Point blank. And that's sad that you got to punish the kid for the actions of the parent. But something has to be done in order to, hold both the child, if the child is saying it, and the parents, that if they're saying it, accountable for that aspect of it. And to be a deterrent for anybody else that's thinking that way for that to happen. Because the only way that this whole behavior is going to stop is you have a D1 prospect. And think about it in this standpoint right now. A D1 prospect with NIL considerations out there for them. That if word gets out that they're doing this, that they're making, they're saying these things in that aspect of it, what business or what corporation is going to want to put their name behind somebody that's doing these things in high school before they even made it to that college level? What we've seen superstar Division I athletes that are 5-star recruits and everything else like that do something stupid and lose all traction whatsoever from their career, from the whole case after that fact. So there's got to be there has to be some accountability in this aspect of it. And just sitting up there saying, hey, we're going to just hold on to it, and I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to give out a 1-pager saying these are the conducts you should have when you go to a sporting event. That ain't going to solve it. That's not going to solve it. There needs to be some type of repercussions and known repercussions if the actions are taking place, instead of just saying, we're going to sit you down and we're going to put you in timeout. We're going to talk to you about how you've been doing all the wrong things and hope that you don't do it wrong again.
And apparently this has been going on for years. And apparently the breaking point was when it happened at a volleyball game.
Who was talking? Now I will say this: my daughter has played volleyball for 3 years in high school, and some of them games do be intense. I'm not going to even front, but not to the point to where those type of words is getting thrown out. No, never to the point to where those words have been thrown out. In an aspect of it, might hear some parents might be throwing them back and forth, but not toward no students.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
So it said Lynette Battle, whose child recently graduated from Elmont High School, cited a series of racially charged incidents dating back to 2019. In February of that year, Belmore Merrick spectators hurled racial slurs at Elmont cheerleaders, with one even wearing an Afro wig to mock Black players. So, and references to bananas and calling the girls from the Elmont High School monkeys, and so and this is the part where it gets tricky. So you don't want to completely suspend the rivalry, but when a player comes out of pocket because this is being hurled at them and they take a swing at one of the players is doing it, you want to suspend that player. So then why not suspend that player? Since you're not going to suspend it and make it where they're just not around each other, but you're going to suspend this player for doing it, and then some will look and go, but the girl was wrong. She shouldn't have swung. And the person shouldn't have said the racial slur. We can go back and forth on that. Who should have done what? Who shouldn't have done what? Bottom line, then where is, and this is why I don't agree with at least not considering it.
Because at the end of the day, what you going to, because in this day and age right now, in all fairness and all consideration, that scenario, person A hurls racial slur at person B. Person B slaps the holy crap out of person A. Person A files assault charges on person B. Now you got a criminal case. But that's not going to go anywhere, because in this day and age where this is out everywhere, somebody's going to have it recorded. And if it gets admitted that they hear that, where you heard a person saying it before they got jaw jacked, then you caused that. It might get pled down to a misdemeanor, nothing, no harm, no foul. But then you get into the civil side of it. Person A sits there and says, "You caused me undue harm, blah blah blah." They can try to file a civil lawsuit. Person B can sit there and file one. against the school district because now they're going into civil rights laws and things like that, where their rights are being violated in that aspect for having those racial slurs caused into it. That's all PR that neither people need to be in there. So it's a slippery slope that does not need to occur if people, I'm not even going to say common sense anymore, because I'm starting to realize that common sense is not common. It's just, it is what it is. But I would say that in the legality of everything, I would sit there and say, nah, sometimes it's best to think about the long game instead of that short game of trying to take somebody out their game by throwing out some type of racial slur.
And we talk about the whole playing hero. Don't be the hero, because that whole quote of no, we're gonna create a dialogue and we're gonna create guidelines. That just sounds like to put it in reference. So it's like, well, the child is acting up, and they're acting up repeatedly, and so what we're going to do going forward is we're going to institute some timeout. We're going to institute some privilege loss, and that clearly hasn't been working for years. You're doing something that hasn't worked for years, and you're trying to put a firm stance on it. You're going to be firm. You can't be firm because you can't follow them around all the time. You can't be everywhere. They're going to do what they do, and anybody that could tell you what they did, well, what if they think the way they do?
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. That's why, even though it seems in the mind wrong to do, the best bet would just be to, you don't play it anymore. And if the schools that had the people and the kids that were doing that, if they lose out on money because of that rivalry, well, then that's on them. And yes, they will more than likely turn around and get mad and blame them for costing them money, which will make them utter out of could make them feel even more in their stance racially. But it's whatever. I hope that the stance that they're taking actually works, because the last thing you want is for time to get wasted and in the end, nothing's changed, because that's only going to fuel
that's only going to fuel the
animosity and a potential violent reaction. One excellent reference that I feel that it's an excellent reference that I'm going to use. Timothy Thomas got shot here years ago by a cop. And even when people were peacefully protesting and everything was peaceful, the reason why everything got crazy is because the younger folks felt like wasn't nobody listening. And so they had a reaction. They weren't right for it, but bottom line, they had a reaction. Now here's the problem. Their reaction, matter of fact, Ari Spears was on a Big Boy show talking about that today, because people brought up the whatever happened between him and Corey Holcomb. Never bring that up at his show, because he will roast you the rest of the show.
Yeah.
But what that does is the reputation that you have created, instead of people looking at you for why you were upset, why you got that upset, they're going to look at the fact of, well, your reputation is that's what you're going to do. And it's going to make it easy for people to look at that and go, see, I told you, look at them. Look at how they acted. Details do not matter. How you are perceived and your reputation is what matters.
Mm-hmm.
You have a reputation of, oh yeah, they angry and they get crazy. They get loud and they get crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get angry and you get loud and you get crazy, you could be totally in the right. It's not gonna matter.
Nope. No, no.
It's not going to matter at all, because all they're going to go is, see, I told you, that's how they are.
Yep.
And if you don't have to directly deal with that, it's easy for you to come up with whatever reasonings of, you just have to get past it. You have to fight through it. How? I'm 47 years old. A lot of jobs I did not get was partially in how I react to people, that when I tried to be peaceful, they just continue disrespect. But then when I gave them the same energy they were giving me,
nah, it's a problem.
now all of a sudden, oh, well, yeah, we were looking at you, but we're worried what you're going to do in front of the customers. Even perfect example, my last job, the only people I ever really got into it with was coworkers. And there were plenty of customers I could have got into it with.
Yeah.
But I kept it to employees. And even them, I would go, hey, I don't want to continue this. Let's talk. Let's be peaceful. I'm going to be me, and this is me, and you going to deal with it. There's two sides to that coin. That's a two-way street.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is, a lot of people like to go, oh, this is a one-way street and it's only me. And if you make it a two-way street, then you wrong. No, you wrong, because I warned you. Don't go here. Like, I don't want to go here. I don't even want to go here. Let's not go here.
Mm-hmm.
But I will go down that road. And then when I go down that road, then everybody go from to, oh my God, I was sitting there reading the Bible, the 23rd Psalm. And Dante he just came at me.
It turns biblical.
Orifices. It was fire. I was so scared.
Yep. Turns
Okay.
biblical.
Hopefully, because I did read in it that a final decision has not been made. That was a decision that they made, but it's not final yet. I hope that they really put some thought into it and they really fix it, because I'm 47 years old. This ain't the first time I've heard this happening on a high school level. But I do feel like that this is a perfect segue into something else that I wanted to talk about. So I've been hearing this commercial as of late, and it really grinds my gears, to quote Peter Griffin fondly. How are we coming up with a commercial that is calling out for people that lose money on bets during college games to not go after players, but we're only limiting it to the college level when it's been happening on college and pro all this time? Is it the fact that they're kids? Is that why the adults get ignored? Because everybody paying their money. So if on the adult level, and now the kids are being paid, and these people are paying their money on the bets. So if the customer is always right because they paying their money, then why are we making that commercial at all? Is one angle that I could take.
Well,
because if you can be at a game and you can say and act however you want, which again, this is a perfect segue to this conversation. Can you really?
No, because here's the thing:
you should not be allowed to, because they pay their money on the high school level. How come they can't drop those racial slurs? They paid their money, right? That's why that saying makes no sense.
The crazy thing about it when it comes to the college game is that college, first things first, you open Pandora's box when sports betting became prevalent to where it was in the States. That was one. Two, when it comes down to it, holding somebody accountable for a decision that you made with your money at risk, because you're trying to predict something that you have no control over, does not give you the right to go and berate said players in that aspect of it. This is not gambling. And here's the other part of it. Gambling didn't start this. Fantasy football really started this. Fantasy sports started this. And you've heard it where you've heard players sitting up there saying, I could care less about your fantasy team with me getting my yards, getting my thing, everything else, because it's made it to where we've paid more attention to the individual than we do the team. We can sit there. We're basically everybody that does any type of sports gambling, anybody that does any type of fantasy sports and this aspect of it are pretty much putting together your version of an all-star team to you that's going to make you either A, win your league, or B, win a bet. And you're hedging that you're going to get their best whenever you place that bet or create that team. It don't work like that.
And you are placing bets on people at work.
Right.
Would you, I say again, I keep asking this question, would you place bets on people at your job? And if the answer is no, then you need to rethink betting on sports, because that's basically what you're doing. You're betting on people at work.
And you have to understand, you don't, unless you physically are with that person to know what their mental is, how they feeling today, what did they eat,
What they got going on
what
at
they got
home.
going on at home, what they got going on in the hotel room when they're not at home. You don't know. You don't know.
The guys are purely professional. They wouldn't.
You
have,
don't
they
know.
wouldn't have any side chicks.
No.
They wouldn't have side chicks. That's just not professional.
You don't know. But the crazy thing, the one thing that I will applaud the NCAA for putting that out there, especially during March Madness, is the thing that a lot of people fail to realize is that you can't do prop bets on college games. Not on the players. Not like you can do in the pros. You can't sit there. I can't go into a FanDuel and sit there and say Cooper Flagg is going to do a bet saying Cooper Flagg is going to drop over 20 points, get over 5 rebounds, over 5 assists, and a block, and get paid for that. So you're basically betting team against team, over under points, over under on winning margin or outright. That's it. So if you place the bet, we in the Final Four now. That's why I said this week's word is chalk. I had Tennessee going. If I sat there and I betted my money against Tennessee, bet my money for Tennessee to go because I picked them in my bracket in order to go to the Final Four, and they lay an egg like they did in that game where they couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, I'm not going to go up there and be in the stands yelling and screaming at a group of college basketball players because they didn't hold up their end of the bet. If I had been paying attention to the trends, I wouldn't have. If I would have been paying attention to the trends going up until that point, I would have sat there and said, do I really want to bet them? Because by the time we got to the Final Four, to the Elite Eight, I was sitting up there like, they ain't gonna make it.
And that shows how much you watch.
That's
because you saw where your money was.
I showed the trend. like even to this point with the Final Four, I got 3 out of the Final Four teams. Tennessee is the only team that I did not have, but I picked Florida to win. I think Duke gonna take it. Because if you look consistently at Duke's games up into these 4, Duke has been the only consistent team throughout the first 4 games they've been in.
And even if you get close, they will figure out
a way to do something.
To extend that lead back. Like, no.
Florida, for as much as Florida had shown going through there, and as much as Florida has shown in going into this Final Four run, Florida has skated by on a couple of those games where they could have been on their way home. But the ball bounces a certain way, you make it to the Final Four. On the flip side of that, you see Alabama, who broke the record for most 3-pointers in the game in the Sweet 16 game, and totally boat race they matchup out of there. And then what happened yesterday? Couldn't hit nothing and went up against a team with a superior defense in Duke that shut down. It's the same person that broke the record for most threes in a game in college in the NCAA tournament. I think he finished with less than 10 points yesterday. So it's always going to be a toss-up. You never know what's going to happen. So going after the kids, sitting up there, you cost me this much. No, you cost yourself that betting on a kid to try to make you some money.
It's like playing the lottery. You can't get mad
because they ain't pick your numbers, or they pick 2 out of your numbers instead of the third one that would have got you the jackpot.
Some people I done seen get mad because they got 5 and didn't get the last one.
You got 5. It's not like it's a random game of chance. Some people are lucky with picking their chances. Others are not. If you're not lucky, here's a thought. Stop wasting your money.
Especially if you've been playing for years. It's like you complain about it, but you keep going back.
You keep going back. And that's the sign of an addiction. You keep losing. You struggling. You get a few dollars to where you can actually get something that's going to last or place a bet. You place a bet. Am I knocking you for it? No, it's your choice. But at the same time, you can't get mad at somebody else about your choice. That's the whole thing. The only time that I will asterisk that statement. The only time you can get mad at somebody because of their choice that you put money on is if you got a player that pretty much either A, quits on their team and they betted on you and you betted on them, or B, it's a late scratch and they don't end up playing and you didn't place that bet. But most of the time now, they'll kick you your money back if you did a prop bet with that player included in there. So that kind of moves that one. But if you get a player, like if there was a prop bet on that player that played for the 49ers that walked off on their team, oh no, I would have been down there on this sideline. Where my money?
No.
Especially if you quit.
No. No. No.
If you had an over-under of 1 sack.
There is no reason. See, no, you can't be moving the goalpost.
I ain't moving the
Like,
goalpost.
no.
I'm joking in that aspect of it.
no,
There's none.
You cannot, because it's always, I tell my kids all the time, you always have choices. You may not like all your choices, but you always have choices. One seems more plausible than the other, but bottom line, you always have more than one choice.
Yeah.
And yes, it's unfortunate. Yes, it's unfair, but that is life. That's how it goes.
Say that again. That's
life, and that's how it goes.
Because that's the truth with it.
And the more successful people, the more successful people are, they understand that. I'm starting to kind of figure that out at this point. The successful people figure out that life is gonna have its points of high level difficulty.
Oh yeah.
And you have to figure out a way around it, and don't stop fighting until you get to that successful part. Although some people's luck makes it harder than others.
Seeing people that don't put as much effort into it get lucky and then come out.
Right. That also doesn't help.
That doesn't help. But at the end of the day, like we was talking on before, between the long game and the short game, that short game might have them up, but will they have the mental aptitude in order to make it sustained in that aspect of it, or will it be a blip and then disappear and they'll be right back where they are, versus somebody that has some type of plan and structure behind it to where once they get there, they sustain it all the way across. It happens. It really, really happens a lot. But we tend to focus on the ones where it happened instantly and applaud that, versus the people that gradually work their way into that aspect of it. But most of the time, if you work your way up to it, once you get there, you like, I don't care. you ain't got to appreciate me. I'm sitting on a beach earning 20%.
All right. So before we get into this next topic, because I heard about it, I was either up in Akron or I was. Oh no, that was yesterday. So I was at home. Pistons, Timberwolves.
Why does it always have to be Detroit? Why? I'm sitting there, okay. Total transparency. I had a supposedly training that I needed to do for my 9 to 5 that was online. They said it would take 5 hours. That took all day. And it's still one part I ain't figured out because it's one question on a test that I've tried 20 times and I cannot figure it out. So in the midst of doing that and sitting up there watching everybody in my household be fearful of the thunderstorms that was coming through last night, I'm sitting downstairs in the lab watching the weather and everything else, still trying to figure this thing out. And my phone goes off. Chaos in Detroit. This is all what I did. Are they in the? Hey, cuz, come look at this real quick. I said this a couple of weeks ago. I love how Detroit is playing. JB Bickerstaff deserves to get some type of nomination for Coach of the Year this year because of how he's turned around Detroit, who has been a dumpster fire for years, into a playoff contender. Cool. Understand that. But that's the exact reason why this is the third type of brawl that has involved Detroit since the Malice in the Palace. And it's like they had DiVincenzo 3 rows in to the stands. And then the coaches started fighting.
And he was trying to break it up.
Right. And he got the marks on his neck from getting choked. And the one angle that they showed, there was a fan angle that showed all of them coming toward them in that aspect of it. And I know you've seen the photos, the meme photo where it looked like the pigeons, when they said the pigeons looked like they was getting ready to drop a rap album. That is exactly how Detroit looked like, a cross between the pigeons getting ready to drop a rap album and the Monstars standing over the NBA players in Space Jam.
Wow.
All around that thing. You saw DiVincenzo back there in the thing like this. And you saw the entire Pistons team over him. I was like, ooh, DiVincenzo better run. He better hit that back note. You know how you fall out of that chair, you just hit that roll backwards and then try to take off and just be trying to hop over people in seats. Yeah. But I'm still trying to figure out, how did the coaches end up fighting?
Probably trying to break it up.
But they had broke it up, because if you watch the long video of it, they had broke it up. And then all of a sudden, then you heard the announcers and they're saying, now here comes Bickerstaff, and Bickerstaff and Westbrook fighting. I'm like,
somebody said something like, you need to control your players or something crazy, and like, hey, don't be talking about my guys. You know that's what happened. That's what happened.
They turned into Skibby Paps.
Because matter of fact, what game did that happen? A game. What college game was that? I feel like it was which McDermott, he coaches Creighton, right?
Yeah. His son.
Yeah. Who were they playing?
Was that the Creighton UConn game when they was getting ready to fight that we talked about at the end of it?
Yeah, because same thing kind of happened.
Yeah.
It was like they started to break everything up, and then one of the coaches said something, and the coach was like,
Yeah, that was the end of that.
and then the next thing you know, they was into it. They ended up shaking it up at the end, but it was like, in the moment, it's like
In the moment when you
takes-
start jaw jacking and stuff like that, all it takes is one wick, the one light of that wick, and it's on. And it was on in Detroit. No, it was in Minnesota. It was on in Minnesota. And then they sat there. The funniest thing was, did you hear the announcer sitting up there talking about, man, they heating up in here after having to fight through the snow and the ice in order to get here. That happened today. God. I'm sitting there. I'm like, only Minnesota would be sitting up there having a fight right now in this aspect of it. It just was like, what the heck? But that was, hey, all I know is right now you got Minnesota and you got Detroit both fighting for playoff positions and each other. We got 1 month left. Then we get into the good old NBA. That's when it really gonna start heating up. Because some of these teams, they need to fight for something. Because some of them ain't looking too hot. It's not. Even my Lakers ain't looking too hot. Did you see that last second shot?
I heard about it. I read about it.
The Lakers, I saw a stat on Sunday. I saw a stat to where the Lakers have they're 14-2 against teams with a winning record since the Luka trade, and they're under 500 against teams that's under 500 for the rest of it. That's why they just shot up, went back down, and they just keep on meandering. They play Houston tonight. I'm gonna watch that when I get home. Houston about to wax them. I got a feeling Houston about to wax them. If Houston waxes them, Houston about to solidify themselves as the 2 in the West, and that is shocking in its own right. That Houston might be the 2 in the West behind OKC.
But why?
Because you would not have thought, one, and this was a conversation we had last year when the coaching carousel started happening. What's going on? Oh, okay. With the conversation we had about a year ago when the coaching carousel started happening, when Udoka went to Houston and Atkinson went to Cleveland, everything else like that, a lot of teams that were switching coaches, it was the coaches that was there didn't fit the moniker of the team at that time frame. And I said Atkinson would be a good fit in Cleveland. I thought that I did not think that Udoka, coming off of what happened, would mesh as fast with this Houston team, especially with how young this Houston team was. But it's a testament to Udoka's coaching makes it to where that was definitely a great move for Houston in that aspect of it. Did I see it? No. I thought they would be a year of development. I thought that Houston would be where Detroit is right now and then take that next step next year. But that's a testament of, one, how competitive the West is, and Udoka's coaching to where he's got that team to where they are playing their best ball right now, to where they shot up the ranks to get that to. Will they be able to hold it? Who's threatening them? Memphis just fired their coach, which is shocking in its own right. But then they've been on the skid and they said he lost the locker room.
And then
then the Lakers are the Lakers are hit or miss. The Warriors don't have Curry right now, so their momentum then went down the tubes because that game against Miami, they just laid a fat goose egg on that game. And Denver has been meandering, and I got a feeling. Son tells me the shock thing that might happen this season, this off season, if Denver doesn't go deep, like game 5, 6, 7 Western Conference semifinals or beyond, their coach might get fired because you can't have an MVP for multiple years and a core that's been there and you only maximized it one time.
Yeah, but one of the problems is I think they got the same problem that Milwaukee had. You got to learn when to let some people go. Which, no offense to Aaron Gordon, but every time I look up and he end up hurt, Denver has problems.
And every time, and then and see the what they will try to come back at you with is, but what about them games where he shows up, where he drops like the 25 and 30 in that
Tell
game?
that to the Bucks with Chris Middleton is going to be my immediate response.
Exactly.
So I mean, you can tell me that, but a person, they seem to get hurt every year. They cooking when they all together, and then as soon as that person get hurt, all of a sudden the team takes a hit. Eventually, you are going to have to make a what could be an unpopular decision.
Now, here's my retort to you on that one. Would you cut Gordon or would you cut Porter Jr.?
Unfortunately, I will go for Aaron Gordon first, and then if Porter stays as inconsistent as he is, then he would have to be the next one. But for it's like you are considered my guy that I need. But dude, you stay hurt too much. Now we can talk. We can at least talk to Porter like, yo, bro, you when you consistent, you my guy, but you got a consistent issue. We need to work that out, or unfortunately, you're gonna have to go because we need somebody more consistent. But on the Aaron Gordon thing, I can't do nothing about you getting hurt, because that would mean that I would have an idea of why you're getting hurt. What are you doing? What are you not doing?
And it's not like he's doing the stuff that he was doing when he was in Orlando, when he was also competing in slam dunk and flying all the time. This is all like fast twitch type injuries that he's having in that aspect of it. It's calves, it's hamstrings, it's things to where it's like, what's going on? What is your nutrition like? What are you doing physiology? Well, I can't get the word out.
Physically?
Not physically. It's like more about the physio part of it, the what you bring into your body. What are you doing to supplement it in that aspect of it in order to keep it going in that aspect? Because something's not right to where you keep on having the same type of nagging, reoccurring injuries over and over again to where you can't play a full year.
Right. Just like perfect segue. Embiid, I saw something where Rasheed Wallace said we got to get rid of this dude. Do you think that it's gonna happen?
No. Because here's the thing. One of the worst things for an owner to ever do is to prove that they were wrong, or be proven that they were wrong, or admit that they were wrong.
Well, you can not. Okay, so here's the thing. Kind of like with Jerry Jones, he don't have to admit he wrong. We see it. You can
right. But in the spin that they do in this aspect of it, they will always try to spin it to sit there and make it seem like, well, at the end of the day, we had to come up with what was best for the team and decided that instead of trying to make things work, we would go ahead and part ways with said player in this aspect of it. I get that aspect of it. But with Embiid, you have to remember this. Embiid will have gone through 3, because it will probably be the third GM's call when they yank him, and that because Daryl Morey will probably get fired. So you got to go through 3 GMs. You've gone through numerous coaches. We've gone through numerous coaches, and you've gone through the whole thing of the process. How would you make that work? How would you have it to where that's not an issue to where you would have to admit defeat and say that the process failed because you did not get a title. You did not. Did they even make a? No, they never made a finals. So the process failed. So they going. That's something to
Not to
where
mention all the players they went through.
right.
But with that, man, how time flies.
Boy,
Hopefully, everything that's been said has been enlightening. Drop us some comments, like, share, and subscribe, and give us your input on all the topics we talked about, as well as maybe checking out some of the prior episodes and letting us know your opinion on those.
Yeah.
And we will do what we can to go and check on the daily. Also, as of next week, we will have a new location that we will be in, and hopefully that will be the permanent location going forward for future shows. But until then, I'm Dante Suave. This is my co-host, Mr. J.
everybody have a great week. Enjoy the Final Four this weekend. I think it's I know basketball is on.
Go Duke!
Go Duke, because Duke or Florida, I don't care anymore. It's not like I'm winning anything off of it. And Formula One is in Japan. I love my racing.
Later, everybody.
Have a good one, people.